say that experience is the best teacher. You don't really have to experience something just to learn from it. Why not just learn from other people's experiences? But anyway, enough of the experience, because my point in today's video is I am going to share with you some of the most awkward and embarrassing mistakes in my past job applications and interviews so that you can learn from them. It's like the universe saying, I made these mistakes so that you don't have to make them. So if you're interested to listen, keep watching. Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is still part of Get Ready With Me to Get Hired this 2020, or whichever year you're watching this video. So this is a series. This is already episode 6, and if you haven't watched episodes 1 to 5, I'm going to put the playlist on the description below so you can check it out after this video. So let's begin. My first mistake was I did not research the position or the role that I was applying for. Now, it was a mistake because during the interview, I was just randomly blabbing something about what I could contribute to the company instead of highlighting the actual skills and experiences that I could bring to the table. And that's because I was not sure what the role was about or what the company was looking for. So if you are applying, for example, as a customer service specialist, then at least you know that they are looking for someone in the customer service industry, someone who is patient, someone who knows how to deal with customers really well. And with that, you can play on your strengths, you can explain to the interviewer what you could contribute or what you can do to help the company grow and to help the customer service in the company be better in the long run. On the other hand, if you're applying as a tech support specialist, then at least you know that you can sell yourself as someone who is tech savvy, or you can also explain your previous experiences in the IT or tech industry, so you're sure that you are really talking about the details instead of just randomly blabbing about your skills and your work experiences. The second mistake I only realized after the interview, and it was already too late, obviously. So I was invited to attend an interview for this company, and I felt so confident because the company was the one who reached out to me for the interview. I did not really apply. And then after the interview, the hiring manager showed me the way outside, and she asked, so what questions do you have? Do you have any questions? And so I asked her, right, what product do you have in this company? Like, what do you really sell? I know, right? I was the one applying, although I did not technically apply, but I should know what the product or the service was because I am interested, or I was interested in applying for a job in that company. And then I think the hiring manager changed her mind because, okay, this girl just went to an interview without knowing what the company's product is or was. So I guess that was a major turnoff, and I was not hired at all. So lesson learned, like what I always tell you, when you go to an interview, make sure that you research the company, make sure that you research whatever product or service that company has so that you don't look clueless and you don't embarrass yourself like what I did. Number 3, I did not research the company. I always would forget or would often overlook this part of the job application process, which is why if you have watched a lot of my videos about job application, I always say research, because this is something that I did not do and I haven't done previously when I was the one applying. So I didn't research anything about the company. I already went through the hassle of attending video interviews, even taking an interview while I was employed at that time, even borrowing my colleague's laptop just so I could attend the interview at my workplace that time. I know that was another mistake that I did, but then I had to do it So I already went through all the hassle. And then when I finally got hired for that position, I found out that their office was actually located north of where I live. So I live in the south and their office is in the north. So just imagine the entire ordeal that I had to go through applying for that job while I was still employed. Only to find out that I couldn't even get that job because I couldn't afford to relocate because their office was technically in another city, which is too far from where I live. I couldn't afford it financially and emotionally that time because I just gave birth. So I had to decline the job offer. Number 4, this was when I first applied for a customer service specialist position. So on the application form, there were questions like, are you willing to work on holidays? Are you willing to work on shifting schedules? Willing to work on weekends? Or willing to work on graveyard shift? And I answered no to everything. So I was so confident to answer no, not knowing that that company was actually looking for someone who can work on holidays, on weekends, on graveyard shifts, and shifting schedules. So obviously, I was not hired. And lesson learned as well. If you're applying, especially in the BPO industry, expect that you are going to have a shifting schedule. You're gonna work at night, you're gonna work during holidays or weekends. And if that is something that you cannot afford to do as part of your lifestyle, then most likely you will not get hired. And even though you lie on the application form and you do get hired, you will still have a hard time continuing your career because of that kind of lifestyle. So just make sure you've got it all cleared. Number 5. Another mistake that I did was I used quotes to answer some of the interview questions, and that was so funny and embarrassing at the same time because I did not really have enough time to prepare for that interview, but I had to go. So I just looked up several different quotes online that I think I could use during the interview. And I found one, something about success. The interviewer asked me a follow-up question about the quote that I just said. I think they probably did not know that I just got it online. I really just said it as if I made it myself. And then when the interviewer asked me a follow-up question, I couldn't really answer properly anymore. So it was embarrassing because I just made something up. It was not really something that I stood up for, but because it sounded good during the interview, I used it. So lesson learned, if you want to use something that you found online and if you feel that you can use it during the interview, just make sure that you really believe in that line or in that quote so that you can explain it properly during your interview. And don't look for something that you don't believe in because you'll have a hard time explaining yourself and it will show during the interview. So it's very important to be just authentic and genuine during the interview, and you don't really need a quote or anything, a statement online. Just say whatever you have to say in your mind and it will come off as more natural and authentic. Well, what can I do? I was young and naive that time, so please just forgive me. And last but not the least was my answer was not consistent to the example that I provided during the interview. I remember the interviewer asked me something about integrity. Like, tell me something about a time when you demonstrated integrity in the company or something like that. So my answer was something like, I had to discuss something with someone who was reporting to me directly, and it was private, confidential, she said so. But then I felt like I needed to disclose that information to my manager because I was not the decision maker ultimately. I had a manager and the manager should make the decision. And so I gave that example. It was private, confidential information, and then I divulged that information to my manager. But imagine that the entire question was about integrity. And my answer was about divulging private or confidential information, which I told my trainee that I won't say or I won't tell anyone. To my defense, I really needed to inform my manager, but it was not the best example for that question because it was integrity, and my example was not really about showing integrity. I was super embarrassed because the interviewer said something like, okay, so it was supposed to be confidential, but you told your manager. And I had to say something about loyalty, that I need to divulge everything to my manager just to, cover it up. So there you go. Next time, you have to make sure that your answer is supporting your example and your example is supporting your answer, or vice versa. It's not contradicting. Okay? I hope you have learned something from the mistakes that I made, and make sure that you won't do those mistakes when you are applying or when you are in an interview yourself. So at least now you know. But if you want to know more about job application tips and interview tips, I have so many videos about that. Just go ahead and check out the playlist here. And if you like this content, don't forget to like, subscribe if you haven't yet, leave a comment, and I'll see you on my next video. Take care and